Today, we're counting down the 25 most hated celebrities carrying their baggage straight from 2025 into 2026. And we're starting with the mess that refuses to end. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni controversy. The It Ends With Us fallout was supposed to be a 2024 story. It isn't. Lively's harassment and retaliation claims against her director and co-star Baldoni and his $400 million countersuit against Lively, Reynolds, and their publicist are still working through the courts in 2026 with fresh filings, paused appeals, and leaked legal docs keeping the feud alive online. Reynolds, once the internet's favorite husband, has taken collateral damage just for standing next to her. Neither side has backed down, and neither has the public's patience. But, according to Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, the war is finally officially over. After nearly 2 years of dueling lawsuits, the two sides reached a settlement, and a judge has since ordered Baldoni to cover Lively's legal fees. Friedman has gone on record calling it a win for his client and says he's hopeful both stars can simply move on with their lives. But here's the twist. Even with the gavel down, the public hasn't let go. More than a year into this saga, Blake and Ryan are still getting hit with what feels like a lifetime hate pass from a huge chunk of the audience. Settlement or not, the internet is not interested in closure. And despite Justin Baldoni facing some seriously rough allegations along the way, a surprising number of people still came out the other side rooting for him. Sean Diddy Combs. No one's reputation collapsed harder this decade. The Cassie Ventura surveillance footage, the federal racketeering and trafficking case, the 50-month sentence, and now a pushed-back release date have made Combs the most consistently reviled name in entertainment 2 years running. His sons are reportedly producing a documentary about him. Whether that helps or finishes the job is still up for debate. Braden Clavicular Peters, the face of the look-smaxing movement, spent 2026 collecting headlines for the wrong reasons. A combative 60 Minutes Australia walkout, a charge for firing a gun at a dead alligator during a live stream, and growing criticism that his content normalizes self-harm in the name of jawline gains. Tyra Banks, Netflix's Inside America's Next Top Model, sent old clips of Banks berating contestants back into circulation. And this time, the internet didn't forgive it as just TV. Her decision to sue Netflix for defamation rather than apologize hasn't helped soften the backlash. Shia LaBeouf, a Mardi Gras bar fight in New Orleans, turned into multiple battery charges, slur allegations from witnesses, and a second arrest warrant after more accusers came forward. LaBeouf has owned up to ego and anger issues, but the damage to his comeback narrative is done. Jared Leto. Old misconduct allegations resurfaced hard this year, and Leto's conspicuous absence from press for Masters of the Universe only fed speculation that studios are quietly distancing themselves from him. Katy Perry. Ruby Rose's allegation of a 2010 assault at a Melbourne nightclub triggered a formal police investigation in Australia, and the timing couldn't have been worse for Perry. Her camp has dismissed the claims, but Australian authorities took them seriously enough to open a formal inquiry, keeping the story in headlines for months. Add a fast, very public relationship with former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, complete with a Paris hard launch and a birthday celebration at a cabaret show, and Perry's love life is generating just as much buzz as the allegations against her. Either way, her once glittery pop star image is now stuck in a holding pattern of scandal and relentless tabloid scrutiny. Kanye West. The UK barred him from entering the country over his history of anti-Semitic remarks, a decision officials defended by saying his presence would not be conducive to the public good. That ruling cost him a slot in front of 150,000 fans at Wireless Festival. And rather than recast the lineup, organizers scrapped the entire 3-day event. The UK Prime Minister went a step further, publicly stating West should never have been invited at all. Through it all, West, now going by Yeah, has kept posting erratically rather than course-correcting. Even his most loyal fans are running out of defenses. Russell Brand, already facing serious UK charges he denies? Brand made things worse with an awkward Bible verse fumble on live television and a follow-up interview where he confirmed a past relationship with a 16-year-old. Legal under UK law, but it cost him whatever benefit of the doubt his personal growth story still had left. The fumbled Bible moment became a meme in its own right, with clips of him visibly struggling to locate the verse he claimed had shaped his transformation. Critics pointed out the irony fast. A man rebuilding his image around faith and accountability couldn't get through one interview without stumbling on the thing he said mattered most. What was supposed to be a redemption arc increasingly looks, to much of the public, like a man running out of road. Timothy Busfield. Arrested in early 2026 on charges tied to alleged inappropriate contact with minors on a TV set, Busfield's case has halted his career and triggered studios to quietly pull or edit his existing work, even as he maintains his innocence. Andrew Tate. A new civil suit from an ex-girlfriend alleging assault has stacked on top of his existing Romanian trafficking charges. His attorneys deny everything, but his online influence keeps shrinking. The accuser claims Tate lured her into an abusive relationship and caused her physical harm, describing in her own statements just how frightening the relationship became before she got out. It's a familiar pattern at this point, a fresh allegation landing on top of legal trouble that was already piling up overseas. And each new claim chips away further at whatever audience he has left. Once one of the most searched names on the internet, Tate now finds himself fighting battles on multiple legal fronts at once, with even some former supporters starting to quietly step back. Danny Masterson, a 30 years to life sentence for sexual assault and documented attempts to use his church to silence victims, have made him one of the most flatly condemned names on this list. No ambiguity, no PR spin that's worked. Jojo Siwa. The image overhaul that started in 2025 hasn't won anyone over. Her claim to have invented an entire music genre, the price tag on her VIP experience packages, and her continued defense of Dance Moms coach Abby Lee Miller keep the criticism flowing into 2026. Alec and Hilaria Baldwin. The Rush shooting case still casts the longest shadow, but a viral red carpet spat and a reality show built around the lead-up to Alec's trial have added a second, more avoidable layer of backlash. Jada Pinkett Smith. Continued public reflections on her marriage, the Oscars slap, and her past relationship with August Alsina keep her in the conversation. Fairly or not, much of the audience still blames her for Will Smith's worst night. Whoopi Goldberg. Her on-air claim that the Holocaust wasn't about race drew a suspension and lasting backlash, compounded by her public defense of Roman Polanski. Jennifer Lopez. Old allegations of uncredited vocals from Ashanti and Christina Milian resurfaced, alongside resurfaced stories about excluding dancers by zodiac sign and friction with collaborators, receipts the internet refuses to let go of. Milian has said outright that she was stunned to hear her own uncredited voice on one of Lopez's tracks, since Lopez never bothered re-recording the lyrics herself. The zodiac story keeps circulating too, with multiple former dancers describing the same cold, dismissive treatment on set. On top of that, accusations of copying other artists' performances and aesthetics, from Beyoncé's Grammy show to Madonna's Super Bowl staging, have painted a picture of someone more comfortable borrowing than originating. For an artist with her level of stardom, the sheer volume of who actually did the work stories is starting to overshadow the hits themselves. Amber Heard. The Depp defamation verdict still defines her. Audio admissions, a disputed charity pledge, and the now infamous feces on the bed testimony have kept her near the bottom of public opinion long after the trial ended. The jury's finding that she'd defamed Depp didn't just cost her professionally, it became the cultural reference point for an entire conversation about false abuse claims. Fairly or not, her shifting explanations under cross-examination, including walking back her charity donation claims in real time, only reinforced the narrative that she couldn't keep her own story straight. Even years later, clips from that testimony resurface constantly online, and each time they do, the backlash starts all over again as if the verdict just came in. Kim Kardashian. Criticism of her all's fair performance, accusations of cultural borrowing in her branding, and her continued display of extreme wealth during economically tense times keep her a lightning rod. Critics weren't gentle about the acting either, with reviews calling the project a vanity vehicle that collapsed the moment anyone looked past the curiosity-driven hype. The cultural borrowing criticism has followed her for years, from braid styles renamed and rebranded to product lines named after cultures she has no direct ties to. And the optics of flaunting private jets and multi-million-dollar purchases, while plenty of her audience is feeling the economic squeeze, keep handing critics fresh ammunition every time she posts. Chris Brown. The 2009 Rihanna assault remains the permanent stain, reinforced by a steady stream of brawls and feuds that keep his name tied to violence rather than music. Over the years, he's been involved in altercations with fellow artists like Drake, Frank Ocean, and Migos, building a pattern that critics say goes well beyond a single bad night. An ex-girlfriend's restraining order alleging threats and abuse only added another data point to a reputation that never seemed to fully reset. Brown's own social media meltdowns and online rants haven't helped either, often reading less like damage control and more like fuel poured directly onto the fire. At this point, every new headline just reopens the same old wound for an audience that never really moved on. Drake. His federal defamation suit against Universal Music Group over Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us was dismissed, with the judge ruling the lyric's non-actionable opinion, a public legal loss layered on top of an already lost rap battle. The judge didn't mince words either, describing the diss track's most brutal line as a metaphorical killing blow within the context of a heated feud. Drake's decision to sue his own label, accusing them of profiting off the song's promotion, struck many as a desperate move from someone who couldn't simply let the loss stand. He's since appealed the ruling, but the optics of taking a rap beef to federal court haven't done him any favors with an audience that already crowned Kendrick the winner. For an artist who built his career on confidence, watching the legal system publicly agree he lost the battle is about as bad as it gets. James Franco, a settled 2021 lawsuit over his acting school, a public break from longtime friend Seth Rogen, and resurfaced messages with a minor when he was 35 continue to follow him into every new project announcement. Diddy again. Yes, he's here twice in spirit. No other name on this list combines a federal conviction, a still unresolved appeal, and a family documentary in production, all happening at the exact same time. His attorneys continue fighting the conviction on multiple fronts, even as reports of his behavior behind bars keep finding their way into headlines. Meanwhile, his sons Justin and Christian pressing forward with their own documentary about him raises an uncomfortable question. Is this an attempt to humanize him, or just another chapter in keeping his name in the conversation? Either way, the timing feels less like coincidence and more like a calculated effort to control a narrative that's already spiraled far out of his hands. As long as the case stays open and the appeals keep stacking up, he stays exactly where he's been for 2 years running, at the top.